All right, and again, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Benchmarking Technology Solutions for Purchasing Cooperatives. My name is Brian Munson. I am the Business Development and Sales Manager for NCBA CLUSA. I'll be your moderator today. The webinar today is hosted by NCBA CLUSA and Medullus Systems, an associate member of NCBA CLUSA. Before we begin, just a quick bit of housekeeping. All the phone lines will be muted during this presentation to reduce background noise. There will be a chance, of course, to discuss questions, and you can pose those questions in the question box on your control panel. You just won't be able to ask them verbally. We will, of course, have time at the end of the presentation to go through those. We are also recording this program. It will be archived on our website, and you will receive an email hopefully tomorrow containing the link. So if you'd like to share it with colleagues or anybody else in your network, please feel free to do that. And Roni has also let us know that you can share the PowerPoint as well, so I'll be sure to send that around. So again, panelist today from Medullus Systems is Roni Banerjee. He's a partner and business development director at Medullus. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself and Medullus in just a few minutes, but before we get there, I just wanted to say that I'm very excited in particular for this webinar because it's actually functioning as a bit of a pilot study of how NCBA CLUSA would like to begin moving forward with our webinars and some of our education content for purchasing co-ops in 2017. Many of you, took the survey that we'll be going over today, and that was born from a need that we saw from our members and conference attendees around technology as a whole. And coincidentally, it was around that time that Roni and his team reached out to us, and given their experience working with purchasing co-ops, it really evolved into a natural fit to execute first the survey and then, of course, this webinar. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with NCBA CLUSA, we intend to do more of this style of survey and webinar in 2017 around a host of different topics. So we hope that you participate in those surveys and continue to provide your feedback, and really you feel like it's a collaborative process that provides some real value for your organizations. So with that said, I'm going to turn the webinar over to Roni. He's going to run through the agenda and a few other things, and then we will dive into the presentation. So Roni, it's all yours.
Brian, thank you so much. Can you hear me well?
I can. You sound clear.
Excellent. All right. Thank you all for taking the time today to join in this. A lot of you have taken a survey that was sent out, and appreciate taking the time to fill that out and provide us with some valuable insights that has helped us to create this particular survey and webinar. So, Brian, do I have control?
You do. Yes, you do. You should. There you go.
Excellent. So, just a quick agenda here on what we will do in the next 1 hour. I'm just going to give you a quick intro about me and Medullus. We're going to talk a little bit about what the objective of the survey was. We're going to go over the survey results, of course, and discuss specifics as we finish this with all attendees. We're going to benchmark the results to broader economy, bring some examples of strategic software solutions that have helped other purchasing cooperatives, and also, of course, finally have the Q&A session where we can, get to have a engaging and meaningful conversation. So, a little bit about me. That's my mugshot. I have about 15 years of experience working in, basically in several purchasing cooperatives, but associated early on with a large purchasing cooperative, 1.5 billion in top line, 1,500 vendors, 600 members. Basically, we spend my time re-engineering the entire operations of that cooperative. It's a 40-year cooperative, and in early 2000 they decided to change completely the way they operate and become more digital, connect all their vendors, all their members, and that's pretty much my experience of. So I have lived and breathed the life of a co-op operations manager, and of course I'm an IT and a technology enthusiast as well. So I understand the challenges, the pain points of cooperatives, what the measurements are, and what success really means, when it comes to a purchasing cooperative. Actually, I'm a technology leader, I'm a strategy consultant, and I also act as a virtual CIO for several organizations. Personally, about me, I live 60 miles north of Manhattan. We have 2 kids, and I truly believe in the independent small businesses because we are one, and I know that the success of the broader economy lies in the success of the independent small business. And just a core value of mine, and I truly say that to anyone I meet, that kindness and being a good person is all I can give to anyone, because at the end of the day, if you're a good person, you're kind, there is no better way to do business. And I think that's the essence of the small business, the independent dealer that has made us so successful. So why are we again doing this survey and this webinar? Again, our belief in the co-op mission and values, the strength in numbers, the leveraging the collective buying power of members, a strategic true partnership with good value-added vendors. So we believe in that, sincerely believe in that. We believe in the greater good of the independent dealer and small business, and we believe that we can make a difference. Medullus and me, I really believe that we can make a difference for cooperatives when we work with them. And it's really mainly, today, this whole thing is just about education, understanding, talking to you guys, and really understanding, what we bring into this education and what we've learned in our experience in working and reshaping the operations of one cooperative and now working with several others. So again, why this survey? We understand where we are today with technology. We're trying to benchmark this particular survey result to the broader digital industry, because digitalization is where technology and companies are going in general. And we'll talk a little bit about the digital world later on. We're going to raise some questions here. Hopefully we'll have some positive discussion and think about IT in general. And then here I just want to address a couple of things early on. We've received some comments from the survey that it felt like a sales pitch, or there was no option called other in some of the survey results. Really, there is no intention to sell you anything with the survey. Today, tomorrow, it doesn't matter. This is really education, and hopefully it will lead us to some meaningful dialogue. We'll learn a little bit more about your business, about purchasing cooperatives, and we really believe that we can help purchasing cooperatives and the independent small business dealer. And lastly, there was no other option again in our surveys, because we've done this twice with other groups, with other purchasing cooperatives, and basically what happened, a lot of them clicked other, and the answers were close to one of the options, so we lost a lot of the insights. So we can discuss the other options when we discuss more today. So having said that, I'm just going to deep dive into the survey. I just wanted to throw this particular graphic that that we've come up with, and we really believe in this. It's called the Digital Purchasing Cooperative, where it's not just technology, but the digitalization of business process across all your ecosystem, vendors, members, prospects, recruits, logistics, affiliate partners, and, leveraging technology and operational, excellence through technology into the digital cooperative. So this is an infographic that really talks about a lot of the stuff that is happening and that can happen with cooperatives. So I'm just going to deep dive right into the survey results. There were 18 respondents from this round. We did this twice before, and one was done in 2013. Some of the results are a little too old for 2013, but we did another one. The second one was 2016 January, and that was 12 respondents. So overall, 30 healthy purchasing cooperatives. So this gives us a good subset of ideas of where cooperatives are today with technology. So I'm just going to go through this. You've seen this. Some of you have taken the survey, have seen this. Do you feel you have a strong technology plan? Great news, yes. Most of them feel they have a very solid technology plan for the coming year. Some of them have said, we're not sure if the plan is sufficient or not, and we've addressed it with a couple of the cooperatives we work with. It's just that the qualm is that there is a lot of stuff out there. We're not sure, what really works for us. So that's an interesting finding. Our next question is, do you think technology can bring efficiencies to your organization? Great news again here. Yes, technology can bring tremendous efficiencies to the organizations. A lot of cooperatives are leveraging a lot of technology. A second here says, yes, it can, but it has to be implemented and used properly, and I cannot agree more. Technology is great when it works. It's a complete opposite when it doesn't. It can bring an organization, especially a cooperative, which has a huge ecosystem. It's a large supply chain, if you will. It can bring it to a grinding halt. So technology can be implemented, and it has great use, but it has to be implemented and used properly. Do you feel that your organization uses IT effectively? Yes. Here, the answer was more of we are leveraging it quite well. Only about 10% says we're in the cutting edge, and that's actually true to most industries that we know, because nobody wants to be on the cutting edge of technology unless you're in the technology field in itself. You want that technology to be proven out before, that's what we've found, before it can be utilized in your organization. So they're leveraging IT quite well. A lot of them actually have said we use a lot of systems, but they're disjointed, and that's fine because a lot of cooperatives, have grown over the years. A lot of different systems have come in and crept into the operations, difficult to take it out, so they're disjointed. So how do you integrate that? There are some challenges to that we found. Here's a question on spending. Do you overspend on IT? Do you think? Most of them have said we spend as per plan, which is what I have seen when I've worked as, trying to reshape the operations. Co-ops run lean. They may have a big top line, but it's not like any other organization. There's not a huge margin out here working on a service fee or a small member fee. So as compared to the top line, so yes, they have to run lean, and so spend on IT is always per plan. There was one cooperative that said we're looking to cut IT. There's only one out of the 30, and we never really got a chance to talk to them why. Do you think your organization is up to date? Yes, 43% have said yes, we're caught up, but we can do more. But again, every organization in this world can say that. There is never ending to implementing technology. So, but again, it has to be done correctly, as a lot of you have said that. 20% have said we're caught up and leverage new technology. Again, 20% have said no, but we are starting to put in more effort into research into how technology can help us. Do you have adequate software to run your operations? And again, 60% have said yes, but we're trying to figure out what else we're doing, which is great. Technology can be, as I said, can become a big value add to a purchasing co-ops or any buying groups operations. So that's great news. 30% have said yes, we have adequate software to run our operations. This was an interesting question. Do you have good member management software? And some of you have said, and some of our earlier respondents have said, we're not really 100% sure what do you mean exactly by member management. It can be anything. So we can talk a little bit about that later if you want. But here, 44% have said, yes, we have good member management. 31% really have said we don't have it. We should be looking at better member management software. Do you feel you have a good website for your organizations? 73% have said yes, we have a good website. Do you measure the effectiveness of your website? 46% here have said yes, and 23% said we don't need to measure it. It's a website, it's informational, it's out there. Some that we have said, we've spoken to have said, no, we want to do more. The only reason is they want to know how they can recruit better, and how they can also, there were two cooperatives that are looking to figure out how they can actually send end users to members through their website. So for example, your members' customers, how can you track that through the supplier brands, and then send that lead over to the member? So that's an interesting project we've taken up a while back. Here, do you have good vendor management software? Unlike member management here, most of them have said, better has said, yes, we have good vendor management. Some of you said we should be looking at better vendor management software. And again, some of you have said basically not really 100% sure of what true vendor management software is. Is there an exhaustive or all-in-one vendor management software, and what does that mean? So that's some good questions that came on. Do you have good rebate management? Of course, very important measure. Rebates, volume incentive, purchases, purchase incentives. So 51% yes, we have very good member rebate management. Very close, 44% has said that we don't have a really good rebate management software. And there are a few packages out there already in the co-op industry, and they work pretty well. We've seen LBMX does a really good job. We have ourselves worked and build rebate management systems specific to certain co-ops, depending on their bylaws, which were a little different. So it's good news that the rebate is at the forefront, and technology really can help in the way rebates are not just accrued, measured, collected, but provide a little bit more actionable intelligence so that better negotiations can be done with some good insights next year or the year after with vendors, or have more member participation using rebates. Do you have a good CRM software? 40% have said yes. 16% have said yes, we don't use it. In general, Gartner says worldwide, only 53% of companies really use the CRM to their some advantage. I mean, we as a small business, we have a CRM, and I would say we use maybe 20–30% of that. So this is not unusual to what the industry has. Do you measure the effectiveness of marketing campaigns? So 37% have said no, we don't need to. Our marketing is limited to to what we have, to our members. They already know us. Some have said yes, we measure the ROI. Some have said, actually 17% have come back and said we're not really sure if the ROI numbers are correct, and whether it's too time consuming and it's expensive. I don't know whether it's going to add value. So 13% have come back and said. So this is all over the board here. From working with a couple of the co-ops that we've worked with on the marketing campaigns, the effectiveness really ended up measuring it through their CRM sales pipeline to see whether those campaigns are really effective or it's not. Next question was, do you think your systems are secure? And again, 37% yes, but it's not managed by us, which is typical. A lot of that security is outsourced out to your IT provider. If you have it, a lot of them have said we have adequate security, and we do get reports. So you get security audit reports or penetration test reports, make sure your systems are secure, your members' data is secure, etc. Do you get ROI reports from your technology provider? And again, personally, this is something that really appeals to me. Technology, again, it's an expense at the end of the day in your books. So how do you measure the effectiveness of technology? And there's no better way than to actually get ROI reports. Has it really helped better my operations, and by how much? Has it helped in member penetration? How much? Has it helped better recruit members or vendors? Do we have a better brand of suppliers than we had a particular technology got installed? So those are kind of ROI measurements that really can help. And 31% have said, I'm not sure if that something can be measured, and that's understandable. It's not tangible technology, so it's difficult. It's not a product that you're installing or selling, so it's difficult to find out how you can measure ROI. But a good whopping 24% have said yes, and we factor that heavily into our growth and strategy, so that's good news. 31% have said we don't measure technology, as they view it as a necessity, and it doesn't matter really whether it's valuable or not, they have to have it. Do the majority of your members embrace technology? 62% have said somewhat, and they should take more advantage of advancements in IT. And that's something that I've found as well of talking to members of co-ops. I've done some studies and over there and found that these are small businesses. They don't have big budgets for IT or ERP systems or technology systems. So that is somewhat in the lines of what you have here as well. In general, Do your vendors ever discuss technology with you? Yes, and we should be doing more such discussions. And that is true. Deeper vendor integrations create a more unified supply chain, helps, of course, members. So that is definitely a good finding here. 16% said no, and we should understand how we can integrate better with vendors. And that some of the challenges we found before is, vendors have disparate systems, any different types of systems. How do we integrate? Again, one of the technology companies, LBMX, as some of you have used them, or they are your vendor. They have done some good work over there. That's what we found. Does your organization handle billing from vendors on behalf of members? That is central billing. Do you do central billing, basically? 61% have said yes. So that's just information. Does your system require a lot of manual process? And 50% have said yes, and we need to find out efficiencies. Again, running lean, that was something that I lived on for a long time when I was re-engineering really the operations. Running lean for that particular cooperative that we worked on was a big thing. It was actually a success story that helped them to merge with another cooperative this year, and post-integration, they just doubled their membership in one day. They used a system, operational efficiencies and systems that actually we had worked on for a while. So running lean and minimizing a lot of the manual work really helps. We all know that and agree that. But sometimes it's difficult to get to that. There are a lot of systems that have been built over the years. So how do you do that? So that's some of the challenges, and that's been addressed here and voiced here as well. Let me see. Brian, I can't, okay, there we go. Okay, does your system integrate well with vendors? 51% have said yes, and that's important again, but we need to work on better integrations. And that's a challenge that's always there. Systems are getting upgraded, vendors upgrade their systems, they have new systems, how do you do that? So that's another finding. Does your system integrate well with members? And it's on the member side, it's always harder than the vendor. And here as well, yes, but we need to work on better integration is a bigger one. And then 29% have said our members are really not interested. It doesn't matter. So that's a conversation that's always ongoing. Do you have member services available on your website? So like invoices, the ability to download purchase or sales orders, look up invoices and things like that. 40% said this is not really needed. Members are really not going to go there and do that. Or we email our invoices, or there are other means of sending data to them. And really 44% have said actually they have that and it functions quite well. Here is your software up to date. 74% have said yes, which is pretty good compared to industry standards. Again, it's 44% last year across industries. Again, Gartner reports and Panorama Consulting, they have between 43 and 44% that keep up to date because of the risks of upgrade and the cost and time. So here, 74% they have caught up with all the updates. Do you have vendor services available? Most have said this is not needed. Some have said we're planning to get this done. Some of the vendor services that we worked on and done before is check remittances for vendors, making it easy for them to do business, or even the ability for vendors to upload SKUs or UPC codes or their product codes over to the co-op for members to use, or price integrations through that. Some of those kind of services we've done before, but a large percentage have said here it's really not needed. And you get solicited for software consulting, and again, this is the reason why we ask this. This is something that we do, but this is something that we ask because we want to know, how much software is there really out there, and are companies really coming out to you? Are asking you, saying, we do these services. Are you aware of these services? So 44% have said yes, they do, which is great, because I believe software can really help this industries, and more companies that come into this industry, the better the whole software offering will become as a whole into this industry. And so yes, you've said yes, but they really don't understand the business model, which of course is there. You got to have worked in a purchasing cooperative, but a lot of them do as well. So you have 24% saying, far and few in between. Have you ever engaged in, consultation with IT? Yes, and continue to do such sessions. So IT consultation is important. It helps you to strategize and understand where the business is going. Are you open to participation in a focus group? And this is something that, we want to see if we can do more. Sit down face to face, understand, have a little bit of discussion more about IT and see how IT can really help. So a lot of you have said yes, but they need to understand what this entails. So this is the result. And the last question was, again, we didn't have a lot of other, as I mentioned. We had other in prior two of our surveys, and they really didn't help us get to these insights that we have because we didn't put the other. But we put a open-ended thing at the end. Some of the things that were shared seems like a sales pitch in our survey. That's some of the answers we had. A lot of choices didn't apply to us. What's the end result? Someone has said we're happy, I'll be our next customer is great. Some have mentioned that they don't have the ability to get uniform supplier price list. From some of the prior survey we got, we need to get a better handle on credits. One co-op said they use Microsoft Dynamics as their ERP. They log into their website and there's no integration. We're looking for solutions. There is one that said we are exploring migration to cloud for 2016. And again, this was January 2016 when this survey was done. So they have moved their backup to the cloud, but they haven't yet moved their data center or anything to the cloud. But all their backups are now in a cloud. We need to assess disaster recovery, and that's one thing. We have good integration with our vendors, but integration out to our members is a challenge, especially SKU and pricing. So really, this is the results from our survey. I'm just going to move on to, again, beyond the survey and talk a little bit about some of the digital technology solutions that are out there that we've done and that we've seen being done as well. So again, getting back to this digital purchasing cooperative, and the word digital has been used loosely in the last couple of years by technology companies in general, but it truly is the way companies are moving, and those companies who are embracing this digital, and it's nothing different than what you do today. It's just reorienting a thought a little bit. They're finding tremendous gains, and it's not even just competitive gains. It's just gains in how you engage with customers, engage with members. So how you engage with vendors, how your employees work, how you function as an organization in the broader realm of the industry. So again, this is an infographic that that really appeals to me. I hope it appeals to all of you, where you have the digital purchasing cooperative. You have a solution coming out of the cooperative, embracing your ecosystem of vendors and members, employees, your prospects, your recruits, new recruits, through the use of strategic digitalization or strategic software and some operational efficiencies. Here again, I'll just quickly put in a couple of things here. You probably know all of this. What is digital? IBM is a forerunner in this digitalization today. You may have heard of Watson. So digital, they say, is effective engagement in today's integrated world of technology. So how can we better engage as a business or as an organization? McKinsey says digital is really not a thing, but it's a way of doing things. Accenture will say digital is the application of information and technology to raise human performance. So really, that's Accenture. I say, and we believe, digital is really not about data, but about insights. So a lot of companies that have really excellent systems collect a lot of data, but does the data tell you, without you having to dig in there, what you can do better? How can you better engage? And what does that really mean? So what is digital? I think digital is not about data, but more about insights. Here is some industry standards. Again, this is Harvard Business Review. April, they did a vast study, and they came out with this. digital asset, digital user, and the digital labor. So 3 parts of digital in any organization. And again, the word digital really is nothing new. It's something that technology companies have done. It's just how you're leveraging and how you're believing in how technology shapes an organization. And that's the digital footprint of an organization. They talk about the asset of the digital of the company and the usage of that. And that's always been a big factor. A lot of companies spend a lot of time and effort on technology, but how much is that usage? And the labor is, your employees, how are they using that? If you take a look at number 1 over here, that's really professional services. And again, do cooperatives fit into that? Maybe, maybe not, but it's knowledge-intensive sectors have highly digitized across most dimensions of their business. So that is an interesting benchmark over here. B2B sectors, they have a lot of potential to digitally engage and interact with customers. So that's another that may apply here. Labor-intensive sectors, and again, quasi-public, these are just benchmarking, and this is where they are today. But here, knowledge-intensive sectors require a lot of digitalization. There's a lot of online content out there. There's a lot of print. There's media. And again, if you're getting into operations, how do you tie that into, sales, your performance indicators, your measurements for a co-op. So that's an interesting infographic. This one, again, digital adoption across all sectors in the U.S. economy. So 1997, there's a nice benchmarking study done by McKinsey Global Institute, MGI. And they're seeing in the last, that's an interesting jump. In the last 8 years, there's been a 4 times increase in digitalization. And really that study came out, and their biggest study was, companies that have embraced digitalization have managed to minimize waste 4 times more than companies who haven't. And it's not about spending money in IT, because that's not it. Money has already been spent. Now, how do you better utilize that across so that you can bring those efficiencies? And so that's an interesting infographic, again, from what we see. What we feel, what is digital for cooperatives? Again, digital for cooperative is could be defined as penetrating deeper into the membership, right? Integrating deeper into the supply chain, making informed recruiting decisions. How do you gauge when you have an application? Can you run that through something that would tell you this is good, bad, and then maybe give you something inside so you can better take this across and make that decision? Running lean, operational efficiencies. And then basically, digital for cooperatives is basically doing what you do. I mean, you do all of this today, but maybe better with strategic digitalization, So it can be measured, it can be analyzed, it can be improved continuously. And I truly believe digital for cooperatives, and talking to some co-op leaders that are embracing technology and the digital world, they're utilizing some of this and they're finding tremendous value. So this is digital for cooperatives. Examples of digitalization for cooperatives. Here's an example. This is for a co-op that used to have a lot of claims. And this is a system that was created that minimized a lot of paperwork and phone calls and where is my claim and why is this claim sitting for 2 months. The important part was the system. Again, we can get deeper into the system if we want to know more. But the important part was once the system was put in, the measurement was more important. The co-op found that average claim resolution was more than 45 days, over 80, 90,000 credits, throughout the year. After the system was done, it came down to less than 14 days to resolve credits and claims. Of course, there were some outliers. Some claims took a few months, but overall average over 80, 90,000 credits. Now, going back to why that co-op had so many credits, that's a different discussion again because of the type of products, etc. But that was an example of a digitalization. It was not just about getting the software, but really connecting across the ecosystem or the value chain and really measuring it down and coming back with the ROI. Getting a lot of the data into the digital world, all of the reasons why claims were happening. So, pictures, things like that, missed products, missed shipments. So those kind of things were flowing across the whole co-op. Here's of course, this is rebate management. This was a digitalization again. Nothing different that maybe that you have today, but it really helped. It's a cockpit. It really helped that particular co-op help them negotiate better rebates. It's not just providing information saying this is how much rebates you have, this is how much rebates you had. And this is we had to change out the data here. We couldn't provide some of the actual data. So it says buying group 1, 2, but the ability to delve deep and provide you a little bit more insight, throwing it out there saying this particular member and vendor, there's something happening with this vendor's rebate. They used to be good and now they're not. So does that open up a conversation? So providing a little deeper in depth. Here is another one. It's a member portal, and this is bringing more of the social into the ecosystem. The ability, a familiar LinkedIn or a Facebook kind of a wall. So vendors putting in a lot of information out there, so training information, and the ability to like, comment, share that information, and have that in the mobile, have mobility out there, so bring in the digital world completely across the whole ecosystem, tying everyone together more using mobility, analytics, the social, the ability to have conversations through the digital world. That's important. And so this is another example of digitalization for co-ops. Here's another one. This was a very, very interesting. It was something called Pay Quality Index that was done for a co-op. It's a predictive management tool to manage a member's AR. This particular co-op has huge AR. They have tremendous amount of invoices. Wanted some early warning indicators about cash flows. Again, co-ops specifically didn't have a large bad debt reserve. This co-op, operating on a small margin, didn't have room for a big AR write-off. So it kind of really needed to know when if a member was going south early on, maybe 6 months or a year before, can that be done? So really it's a comprehensive credit score of a member for a co-op and some actionable intelligence. So when PQI, it's a number between 50 and 100. So when it went below 90, for example, it triggered an internal watch about that member, started to make some calls, some phone calls. Below 85, it started alerting some vendors. So maybe, if you get an order directly from them, check with our credit department. PQI below 80, stop orders. So it's, these are examples of strategic digitalization, and what I mean by that is, again, taking the data that you already have today, but making that data work for you. So again, this was an example again where invoices got paid, PQIs went up. So overall, the co-op health was measured by rolling up the PQI. So year over year, it became a really good measurement tool for the co-op really to the board. The board would just look at the PQI and say, wow, this looks great, and it became a KPI or a key performance indicator really for that co-op. Here's the last one really, and we'll move quick here from here to Q&A. But here's one that we're working on with a co-op, is a white-labeled ERP for your members. A lot of members say we don't have good systems. We have a cloud-based subscription model ERP system that, and again, this is something that, again, digitalization is important, because once this white-labeled system goes out to members, what happens is that data now is completely, all the data entered over there at the member can be connected seamlessly to the co-op. So it's database to database. It's your data really, whatever the members are willing to share. Some members may not be privy to sharing a lot of their costs, etc. But some of the data can be found and brought back, and a lot of seamless integration happens in this kind of model. So this is something that one of the co-ops are working with. It's a big initiative, of course, to get. They have about 380 members. To get all of them up to a ERP system would take a few years or more, but they're embracing things like that. So they're already finding value by doing that, and it helps the member as well. This is actually positioned as a QuickBooks Plus. It's a subscription-based model. It's totally cloud hosted, and it doesn't cost an arm and a leg like some of the ERP systems out there. But more importantly, it just strengthens the whole co-op. So again, I ran through these slides. There were a few of them. Feel free to contact me. My email is here. If you have, if you want to talk about anything, or you want to just add anything that will help us in this education as we continue on trying to learn more about purchasing cooperatives. Thank you for your time today.
Great, thanks for that, Ronnie. That was awesome. I want to open it up officially to some Q&A. So if you do have a question or any additional thoughts that you'd like Ronnie to touch on, now would be the time to do that. I think to kick it off, Ronnie, a lot of well, maybe not a lot, but there were some answers in there that people said, no, I don't need to do that, or there's no need for that sort of stuff. And I just in general, the first sort of question is that when people answer, in that way, very definitively no, has it been your experience that they really don't need to do anything, or however they're answering, that it's not related to what they do, or is there maybe efficiencies there that they haven't thought of? What's been your experience with that kind of thing?
It's all of that. Some actually do know that they don't need that, and that's fine, and or that there is no time really to do that. Budgets is one thing, but they just don't have the time, or they feel it's a lot of risk now to to do something. The system is already set, that's there. But a lot of times it's come back to it's just trying to set the time out to sit down with somebody and say, let's look at it and see. I'm sure there are ways to bring efficiencies. So I would say it's all of that, but my finding has been that there is always efficiencies that can be done. It's just a matter of priority.
Right. Okay. I guess to get a little bit more specific, around the website question that you asked on the survey, is it and I've always wondered this, and maybe some of the folks on the line have as well, but do you find that it's a mistake to not optimize or treat your website as a place of commerce and engagement, regardless of what the type of business that you do, B2B, B2C? You don't think that there's any value in putting anything beyond your contact information on the website? Is that a mistake for groups to do that in your experience?
For broader economy, larger industries, where you have a lot of B2C kind of thing, yes, of course it is. But for a purchasing cooperative or a buying group or cooperative in general, where you have a definitive mass of people you're trying to reach out to, it's not a top priority. I mean, SEO is time-consuming, expensive. It really depends on the strategy. Like I said, there were two co-ops who really wanted to reach out to the broader community. So end users, they call them, or customers of members. So really, in that case, of course, SEO is critical. I mean, if you're looking for the particular product or widget of that particular co-op, yeah, you have to have really good SEO, because now it's just a consumer, or it could be a small business or anybody just looking for that product. So it really depends on the strategy. Some co-ops don't go out, sell to, or market to, really market. They don't market to other end users. Now, some co-ops also spend some time marketing to new recruits. They use the website as a means to going out there and putting information out there for new recruits. It was interesting also, there was one co-op that and I'm really not going to mention the name here, but because it's really an interesting strategy, but they were putting a lot of information out there for competition, for another co-op. And there were 6 co-ops really in this particular large industry, and they were really at one time on this website war. They were putting content out and trying to, not really recruit each other's members, but more like trying to project a better brand and value. So it's all over the gamut. It really depends on the strategic objective of that website. And I've sat down and had conversations. It's interesting to get to that. It's, again, we all don't have the time to think about each of these things, but when you sit down and have a discussion, it always something critical or something constructive comes out of that, which is educational for all.
Sure. Well, it's interesting you mentioned, branding. We at NCBA, we look at co-op identity as one of the things that, cooperatives can really lean on to help, separate themselves in the marketplace. And, some of that is on us in terms of educating the general public about, the great things that, co-ops do for communities and for their employees and their owners. And I'm just curious, from your perspective, what are the differences that you're seeing in the way that a for-profit business would tell its story or market itself versus what a co-op would do to tell its story or market itself? That's sort of the first part of the question, and then the second part is, how does that relate to technology? Like, if they're doing something ineffectively, could technology help them, or vice versa? I'm just curious for your perspective, having been, I think on both sides of the equation with your work at Medullus.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, really. I mean, I've dabbled at that, working with some of the, executives at, different cooperatives. One of the challenges, that everybody faces is that, and cooperatives actually don't do that. A lot of industries, they just talk about technology and really don't, talk really about why that technology is even needed. And I think that comes really from what's the strategic objective or the operational objective of that co-op. So for any other industry, I would say it's definitely different. Again, getting back to, rudimentary marketing, looking at, doing different analysis like a 4P analysis, for example, people, place, the positioning of the organization. So how you want to position yourself, how you want to position your brand as compared to your other industry, competition. How do you want to position yourself to the market you're marketing to, or to a particular segment you're marketing, that website or your business. So those kind of the way you would market let's say a retail or clothing is different than how a cooperative would definitely market it. Unless, again, as I mentioned, the cooperative is marketing to the broader end user or the end customer. Mm-hmm. So for a cooperative, I would say it's more important to really understand, again, what the marketing initiatives are. I mean, what is it that they're trying to market, and why are they trying to market that, and what value would that marketing bring to not just the cooperative, but to the whole ecosystem, to the membership. At the end of the day, it's the strength in numbers. Does it better the value chain? Are we, have they gotten better, vendors through the use of that, website? And their technology can really, really help, because once you have defined that, and now you have a system that not just does that, but measures that. That's always been the qualm of, my personal qualm is that, people do a lot of technology stuff. Are they really getting value out of that? Is it measuring? And it's a technology in today's digital world. It's gotten out to where technology comes and gives, pings you on your phone, tells you, all of a sudden, hey, you might want to take a look at that. Is that happening? And that is the digital world, where we're having what we call the smarter machines, the smarter workplace, and the smarter homes. I mean, we have smarter homes today. I mean, and it's not far-fetched. And that can be done. Systems are already implemented. But it's now just taking it a step further to making sure that it's actually giving you something that, somebody else is not giving. You don't have to put 5 brainiacs from, large organizations to come and rummage through millions of lines of data to give you that specific. So technology can definitely help in marketing, but I think the first thing is to really understand what the marketing initiatives and objectives are, which I believe a lot of good technology, purchasing co-op, they already do that. They already know that extremely well, and they're doing that well.
Sure. So just a question that's come in. So based on the results that you've showed us here today, are purchasing co-ops competitive with for-profit businesses in terms of technology and based on the benchmarks that we've discovered? I'm sort of paraphrasing here. Based on what we saw today, Roni, what do you think?
So I would say, from a system angle, from what I've seen, and also from some of the cooperatives that we work with, they are they're kind of at par with how the systems that are installed. There's a lot of good ERP systems. There's a lot of different management systems out there. Like, for example, I would say for cooperative, vendor management, credit management. And a lot of companies are using actually cloud-based SaaS systems out there as well. Business process management. But one of the things that I would say that is missing, a lot of for-profit companies do that, and maybe just because they just have the big margins that they have, the ability to spend deeper on that, is really, again, getting to that, analytics, more of taking that data to the next step and helping the objectives of the operation or the business. And that is something that for-profit companies do. And a lot of cooperatives I've spoken to and I've felt before, where I've worked also, they feel that it's, that's just too much to do. Do we need that, all that, but it's really not. It's not that difficult. You already have the base system. It's just taking that next step and helping that cooperative. So at par, I would say kind of close, but taking it more further down the road, I would say they could do more. As I said, the digital world is coming in. It's interesting, the study again is that only about 18%, and I have the numbers, only about 18% is really embracing this digital world. 18% of the broader economy. So it's not like everybody's jumping on this bandwagon, but that 18% is a large number, and most of that is, again, from what I've found, purchasing cooperatives are really not doing that. They have the operational efficiencies, but they're really not taking their data and providing analytics or deep-rooted measurements to find out if it is actually working and where improvements can happen.
Great. If anybody has any other questions, now would be the time to ask. All right, we've got one that came in here. Let's see. What are some rebate management systems available similar to the LBMX offerings? You've mentioned that you provide an alternative.
Yeah. So again, we're a custom software development company. So most of the stuff that we have done is custom work for cooperatives. And it doesn't mean that it takes a long time to build a custom software and things like that. Those are some of the objectives also we've found. But it's really taking the data that you have and coming out and building a rebate management system. There is a skeleton system that we have, but again, each co-op has their own bylaws, so it really doesn't fit all of them. But it's really one of our solutions is that we have, it's actually called ECS, Enterprise Corporate System. So that is that. There are a few other rebate management systems, but again, they really don't appeal to cooperatives, none that I have found. There's one cooperative that actually has used a pricing manager tool that allows the ability to calculate, tiered pricing, and they have somehow customized that to manage discounts. They call them discounts in their volume discounts to calculate rebates. But other than LBMX, really, we haven't found anything. Our package, really, what it does is connect with vendor systems to get, SKU data, and then from there collect, the purchase information, set up the rebate, rebate programs, with a lot of exceptions, and then not just get, accrue the data, accrue rebates, collect rebates, measure, and then spread out the rebates into the members based on their participation and based on the rebate program. Print out a lot of different reports. But more importantly, where we found advantages is that I really believe that it's not just about collecting the data. A lot of any software company can really do that. It's just not just collecting the rebate, not accruing the rebate in your balance sheet and then paying it out over time or over a certain quarter or year. But it's really more of insights into that rebate. That is, I believe, can really help better negotiate contracts. You come to that table better when you're discussing more with your vendors. And also it helps more into penetrating deeper into the member purchases. Not a lot of the co-ops have 100% member penetration. So there are two co-ops that I have worked with and we've studied where it's sole membership. So their members have to buy from that cooperative. They actually lost a lot of members doing that. But for them, it was easy. All the purchases were there. But a lot of the cooperatives don't have 100% penetration, and so they want to get deeper into their existing members, want the members more buy. But do they want their members to buy more of these rebatable products? And so those are kind of insights a good rebate management system can have. So to answer your question, there's LBMX is there for sure, and it can definitely have more insights, and you can better that. But there's also, we have a system that we're happy to discuss.
Yep. And incidentally to the question asker, there's an associate member also at NCBA CLUSA called CoreCentric that does some rebate management activities, and there's another group that's attended our conference in the past that does something similar. It's a little bit more specified, but that there's another group out there. It's called MOQBUY, MOQBUY, and that's just to tack on to what Roni mentioned for there. So, if there's any other questions, Roni, I think that folks can happily submit them to me. I think everybody's got my email, bmunson@ncba.coop. But unless there's anything else, I think Roni, this is like a gold mine of information that I think you've kind of put out there today. And I'm really grateful to be working with you on this initiative of benchmarking technology, and I look forward to doing more of it in 2017. And like I said, this is the approach that I'd really like to take for the rest of our webinars next year on a host of different topics. So kudos to you for being sort of the first one and kind of getting the ball rolling, and hopefully those on the line enjoyed it today. We really enjoyed having you.
Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time out to come out here and participate.
Yep.
Look forward.
And I will vouch also for Roni. We've already had a member inquire as soon as they signed up. A member happened to ping me, and they reached out and connected with each other, and they're already doing some business. So Roni is a stand-up guy. I've enjoyed working with him just these past 2016, these months that we've been together. So again, if you need more information about purchasing co-ops, if you have any questions about this webinar or anything else, you can email me, bmunson@ncba.coop. I encourage you to subscribe to our CBJ e-newsletter. You can do so on our website, ncba.coop. And also you'll want to bookmark your calendars October 4th through the 6th next year in Washington, D.C. We will be hosting our purchasing co-op conference. That's actually going to be part of a larger national co-op conference that's going to focus on research and development and economic impact of cooperatives. So hopefully information that comes out of that you guys on the line can use to recruit members into your organizations, or just do some of your own local advocacy and kind of spread that message that way. But it's going to be a great conference, and there's going to be definitely some very specific programming for purchasing co-ops, which we're very excited about. Again, Roni, thank you for your time today. Thanks for everybody on the line. We'll be sending out a recording of this webinar shortly, and you guys have a great day. We appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you.